Welcome, 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 everybody. As you all know, my name is April, and my spirits and I together, we are called Austrae Astoundans. Welcome to the Conspiracies podcast. Today is a new episode. I want to talk to you a little bit about the changes with social media and communication and how we are going to see a big shift and change in terms of censorship that's coming here now in 2025 and going forward. And this is because not only is it Pluto has now moved into Aquarius since November of 2024, but also because the sun will soon be moving into Aquarius on January 19th. Now, I'm sure all of you know and have heard that they plan to ban TikTok, and that's supposed to start this Sunday, which I believe is the 19th, which ironically is when the sun moves into Aquarius season. So I had predicted and talked a little bit about how the way we look at technology is definitely going to be changing, obviously, due to Pluto in Aquarius. Um, Pluto being the planet of control and destruction and things like this. We're going to see things really sweeping up and changing with Aquarius that rules technology, talks about social media. Um, but there could be some problems here in terms of control and transformation. And we're going to see a lot of this happening due to the politicians trying to force their views, trying to control us. But we have a new administration coming in. And I had seen and predicted that we would see this new administration not only trying to push, and support the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech, but also there's this paradoxical tilt like, okay, well, how do we restrict and control all the cyber attacks? How do we restrict and control all of AI? So we're going to see this big fight for like trying to support freedom of speech, but also this like other side to the madness of Pluto moving into Aquarius, where we have this Plutonian destructive, like, how far do you take it with AI? How far are these people taking it when it comes to cyber attacks? Things get a little bit out of hand there. So we're going to see this administration, from what I'm foreseeing, what spirits have told me, trying to restrict these areas. But at the same time, censorship has me wondering and thinking about what's going to happen here, because we also have on July 7th, Uranus is moving into Gemini, which also rules communication. And this is what's got me thinking that we may be looking at like Facebook becoming obsolete. We may be looking at Instagram possibly changing. I know and have heard a lot of people that run their businesses through these platforms are seeing a lot of problems. So back in 2024, I was advising and telling clients, hey, don't strictly just monetize everything through your applications, because it is, in fact, just an application. So if you want to, it's great to produce business and to get visibility and so people can hear and see you and know you and see what services you have to offer. But at the same time, like, um, you need to have emails, you need to have ways you can reach your clients and reach people for your business. It can't just strictly just be through this application, because they can just shut it off, just like they plan to do it on January 19th for TikTok. And a lot of people monetize their, they make money here off of TikTok. They get TikTok shop, things like this. And for them to shut it down is going to affect these businesses and people that utilize this application to thrive and grow. So we have to be innovative, especially with this Aquarius energy, and thinking of different ways how to reach an audience, how to, expand and grow and reach your network to create a better net worth, if that makes sense. Okay. So get ready for some shit to pop off here with networks, communication, censorship, internet, because internet is a powerful tool. And those in power want to control that. You can't just say anything anymore. What you can and cannot say can completely change over the next coming days based upon this whole sun moving in Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius transit that started back in 2024 of November. So Aquarius also speaks of the masses and humanity. And so, where do the people go to talk? And this is where you're going to have to be innovative and creative about your platforms and how you extend your message and extend ideas, exchanging ideas freely on what you can and cannot say. As Pluto may be restricting communications and networks and all of that, because Pluto is about control, and destruction and transformation, especially when we got that Uranus and Gemini transit that's coming on July 7th. That's where I really see like things getting weird. And I say this because the last time Uranus was in Gemini, the last transit was 1941 to 1949, and that was in the midst of World War II. So try to think about how much they were censoring from the public certain things that you could or couldn't find out based upon radio, and that was just radio. So we have to be careful of just things just shutting down, things being because they don't want you to hear about something or know about something. So you're going to have to find other ways to communicate, to reach your audience, reach your people. So I had a sense, and this is a conversation I had with one of my artist that I work with, and she's also handles some of my marketing stuff. Um, we were both talking about this actually like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we were like, we just kind of see this algorithm thing going on with Instagram, how they try to really control things. And we both were kind of chuckling and laughing about how we believe that YouTube is possibly going to be on the rise. YouTube. And how we're going to slowly but surely see like Instagram and Facebook become kind of obsolete in some way. It's an application to enjoy, but you have to be careful that you solely utilize it just to make money off of, like for people that use it for their business and get views and attraction. But the algorithm is so mean. It's just not even fair. Because if you want to boost a video, you have to pay a certain percentage or you have to pay a certain fee. Okay. I know that TikTok, a lot of people get their news from TikTok because you're getting it from people and their videos and stuff. But then you have to also be careful of like what is AI and what is real and what isn't, or is this just like allegedly, or are they literally saying that this is what actually happened? So that's where you kind of, I feel like there's these gray areas of what is true and what isn't true, but you also can't censor us. So we think, right? Because that should be quote unquote our right. So it's like, okay, so just let's just see what happens here, because the way it was worded to me, and I had predicted this in 2024, and I talked about this a little bit in 2023, is we will soon be seeing a complete change on social media where we will not be able to communicate to each other the way that we're used to, the way that things started all the way back, like in, when did Instagram get started? Was it 2011?
I think
I
so. It
don't
was around
know.
that time. I'll double check right now for you.
Yeah. So that's where things started there. And so now we have to think, okay, how do I reach my friends? And you have to keep this in mind too. And this is very eye opening because we are all trying to drive to certain places using MapQuest, or using Google Maps,
It
excuse
was
me.
2010, October 6, 2010.
Okay, I was thinking it was 2011, so I was pretty close. Okay. But yeah, we're getting ready for a big change here, and so Spirit was telling me, "Hey, we may not have these applications anymore. Things could just abruptly change." And I thought, "Well, that's weird." They said, "We want you to do this, April, and we want you to do that, April." And I'm thinking, "Well, what why? What's going on?" And according to what they told me is that I will have to be more innovative and more resourceful, more creative about my outreach to my audience. So they had me do this on Spotify, start the podcast, which I did. They had me start this membership that's on my website, and if those that are listening that are interested in that, I put a little more of my exclusive content over there. You're welcome to go check that out. So I started that there just in case something shuts down. That's what they told me. Now, they also told me don't invest much in TikTok. And at the time, everyone was like messaging me and thriving and all happy over there. And I'm like, no, there's something about this that bothers me. It's not that I didn't like the crowd, because the crowd's pretty cool. I see the people over there and I connect with them. I'm not over there at all, really, very much. I would get views and some traffic, but I don't get like people messaging me for, like, hey, I'd like to reach out to you for a reading or really connect with me too much there. It's just my friends. But my spirits told me don't invest too much in TikTok because there's something coming. And sure enough, here we are. And I had openly talked about this on my Instagram, which I spend a lot of time over there on Instagram. I answer DMs and I'm busy, busy, busy over there. And so I get what they're saying now, because now they're trying to ban TikTok on the 19th. So they told me don't sweat over it, because you don't know if it's going to come back. Now it could, because there's going to be a lot of people. I see people protesting and like, come on, let's get this turned back on. You can't do this. This is our freedom of speech, blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
right now, Elon's talking about buying it too. So he's
Yeah.
talking about buying TikTok, and there's another person that's open to purchasing it also. If that happens, then it'll probably turn right back around anyways, right?
Well, keep in mind, Mars is in retrograde. I don't mean to throw astrology in the middle of this, but because of this retrograde, we might see it's like something coming back around full circle. So everything's on hold right now, but it might come back just based upon the astrology alone. That's very likely. It could happen, but it's not a guarantee. But this is my point. It's like, okay, so they can just hit the button, shut you down anytime they want.
Well,
And they
yeah,
want,
kind of how it works sometimes.
right. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's that easy. So be careful what you're sweating over and investing in. Like, I had, this is a true story. I had someone a long time ago, I'm not going to say names, that wouldn't work with me or like do a collaboration with me because I didn't have a lot of followers at the time. And I said, I may not have a million gazillion followers like you, but I have a lot of loyal people that have been with me from the jump. And they're loyal. They're, because they know that, I I'm I deliver. I'm there
Well,
and I'm
there's a big difference between
consistent.
somebody having like 20,000 bots on their page and then having, 2,000, 3,000 actual people that are interacting on a daily
That's
basis.
that's
There's a
true.
difference.
But I just thought that I remember thinking at the time, it wasn't anything against the person that was talking to me. I didn't even take it personally. I just was thinking to myself, is this what it takes? Like, is that number is what matters in terms of the value of my work? You got to be kidding me. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I took it like, I don't want to work with this person. If that's what you think that that's my value, then what am I doing here? And I didn't end up working with that person because I just thought, you know what? Like, I want someone that's going to see me and my work and say, "Hey, you're worth it." Like, I want to connect with you. I want it genuine and authentic. Um and so this is the kind of stuff that I feel like we have put value on that doesn't make any sense, especially like what you're saying. You're like, half of them are bots. Like, you know what I mean? And then they're fake accounts. People have like duplicate accounts and stuff like that. Um, I just wanted an authentic space where I knew that the people are connected to me are them and they genuinely want to be there. That's different. When you have people that genuinely want to be there and they want to listen to you, that's what makes the work worth working for me. Is like, hey, I'm tuning in. I want to check things out, and I get feedback. I get I get messages all the time on Instagram. I love it. I get busy and I may not answer everything right away, but I do engage because it means a lot to me connecting with everybody in the community. It means a lot to me be here, talking, just recording this and knowing that I'll reach that one person. But this is going to get interesting. It's going to get more and more interesting when Uranus moves into Gemini, the planet. Well, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. That's communication. Uranus is a planet of like rebelliousness, rebellion, unexpected events. So we could see some stuff happening around that time as well. And if you think about the energies that it's mirroring, because that last transit was in 1941 to 1949, which is World War II. Think about what was going on with radio around the time. What were they hiding? What were they stopping? What were they blocking? What was going on with censorship? About what was really going on in the concentration camps. A lot of certain people didn't know what was going on. Certain people did. So it's just like, I mean, I can go on and on here, but I really do feel like the networks and the communication, the internet is going to be really, it's going to get hit with some change based upon the Plutonian energy around Aquarius. Aquarius rules technology. Aquarius rules social media, as same as Gemini. And Uranus is going to throw something in there, I believe, to kind of rattle things up or to create this unexpected change in the way we communicate with people. So we might be seeing applications dying away. I had said and stated and predicted that I felt like Facebook would be obsolete. And did you guys see that are listening? Did you see Mark Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan? Did you hear what he had to say?
Oh yeah, big time. A lot
You
of
know what I'm
a lot
saying?
of censorship.
He was talking about, for those that didn't watch it, you guys got to check this out, okay? He literally was saying that he was bullied into pushing this like forcing the views on certain vaccine on the vaccine, and he was explaining in detail what happened, and he felt kind of like he was cornered about it from the
Well, he was
Biden
coerced
administration.
into he had to delete certain memes. He was coerced into removing certain speech, and it was interesting the way he kind of, I would say, wiggled or snaked out of it.
Yeah, and he was kind of, and he kind of came through with a little bit of like this remorse, because he did say at the same time that, he didn't want to censor people that were actually saying they had side effects from the vaccine. He didn't want to censor that. Um, and he went on and on and on. And by all means, I stay neutral because I know there's certain people that get a little sensitive about this content, but it's true and it happened. And so what? And it's out there and people are talking about it, and people are going to say, "Hey, I don't, this doesn't acclimate well with my body. Like I have the right to decline this." But but my point is they were pushing this whole like, you have to do this, but not allowing the people that are having genuine side effects have a say. And so he was like sitting in the chair just kind of explaining what was going on, and actually admitting that he's not an anti-vaxxer. He was saying, I if anything, I can see that how it's benefits more than it creates these side effects, is what he explained. Those were his words, not the exact words, but that's how he was explaining it. um and he was talking about how he's going to change this and start to, what do they call it, like the fact checkers, like every time you post something they would say this
He's getting rid of the fat checkers, I believe.
right,
Yeah.
right, this goes against community guidelines. You know how many times I got that when I was posting something around when COVID hit? And I mean, I was just like, this is ridiculous. So a lot of people got silenced, and it's not fair because we have the right to say what we need to say. And I know that RFK and the new administration coming in was talking about this very openly back in 2024, and as well as Donald Trump was talking about how we are going to try to maintain, try to keep the freedom of speech going and to try to bring out more information in regards to medicines and the pharmaceutical companies and side effects. Like we need to hear about it more, especially what they're putting into the food, things like that. And I think today was the day they just banned the first. I think it's the color, the food coloring red. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, the red dye. Yeah.
Red dye has finally been banned, and they were posting and talking about it. Now it's made public. So that I felt that that was an extraordinary victory just in itself, even though it's very small, but it felt like it was kind of setting the stage and the start for things to come going forward.
I mean, it's been banned in every other country. I mean, it's banned in Canada too. Red dye number 3, I think, is it's been banned for a long time in Europe, and just now we banned it in our food, or they're
Yeah.
banning it.
I don't know if those of you that heard about Barbara O'Neill, I believe she's Australian, and she openly talks about different remedies that you can utilize that are more holistic to try to fix the common cold, or take care of this for women's hormones, or take care of that. It's a more natural approach to things. And I remember that they banned her in Australia and ostracized her, and now they started censoring her. And so based upon that, it's like you got to look at things like that. Like, what if someone would actually benefit from something she has to say and actually utilized her remedies and it worked? Because I've heard people saying that it does work. Certain things that she has put out there publicly, and they were trying to censor her. I think Mel Gibson was just on Joe Rogan openly talking about how ivermectin saved some people's lives that had cancer.
Yeah, there's a few different drugs. Like it's a Fin. I forgot what it's called. Fin something or other. It's
Hmm.
another like anti-parasite drug that works supposedly against cancer.
I think it's got the last like word called all, like Zol or something like that at the end of it. I think I remember hearing him saying something about that.
It's
Um,
Finbendazole. That's what it's called.
there
Finbend.
we go. There we go. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. But I guess from what I understand is when ivermectin was first being discussed, I remember Joe Rogan was being like completely just hammered for it publicly, like making him look like he's taken like horse medicine. And boy, did they really ream in on that guy. And to find out later, after all this time, that ivermectin actually was a beneficial drug that, or well, if I wouldn't consider it a drug, what is it exactly? Isn't I don't know like all the ins and outs of it though, but I have heard from clients that have reached out to me that I had this one client, this is a true story, and this is facts, okay? She had her beloved pet get sick and was diagnosed with some type of cancer. And the vet had told her that the dog needs to be put down. And mind you, this is her beloved pet, okay? This is like her child. And for those that have been listening to me for some time or don't know, I do pet readings. And I was reading on her and the pet, and anyway, um the dog actually she's very well educated on the integrative medicine side of the medical field and all of that, and she gave her dog ivermectin, and the vet told her, "You're crazy, you shouldn't do that, it's not going to do anything, you need to put the dog down." She says, "I'm not putting my dog down." She gave that dog ivermectin and saved the dog's life, and I think within a week or two, the dog was walking, and the dog to this day is still alive. This is a true story. Now, don't you think there's some people out there that would like to have heard that if that was even an option to utilize, especially with the people needing stem cells? And I know it's quite controversial just based upon the fact that it's stem cells, but people are going across the border to get stem cells to heal their bodies because they don't want to be a slave to the pharmaceutical companies and keep taking this medicine over and over again, especially people in pain that have back issues, that have joint issues, or just any kind of issues, these are very real things that should actually be considered and factored in if they save lives, if they help people. And that story to this day about that dog just blew my mind. So when I finally heard Mel Gibson open up and talk about it, I said, my God, you see? And they were censoring these people. So this is my point to all the social media stuff and what they're going to try to do to push their views, especially these politicians, because the internet's powerful, but so are these politicians because they're getting paid. So they're going to try to, with this plutonian energy moving through Aquarius, they're really going to try to shut things down and
Well, it's
censor
not
things.
just that. They can change the molecular structure of the medication just by a little bit, and then they can sell it for a lot more by rebranding it. So these drugs are all like they sell them for super cheap. You can buy these for pills for ivermectin. It's like 50 cents to $1 a pill. But if they rebrand it and use it under their own name, they can sell it for $20 to $30 a pill, and
Yeah.
that's why they do these things.
Yeah.
So that's
Because
why they make it sound bad, or make it sound like it's like, oh, it's a horse dewormer. And well, it's an anti-parasite drug that's been used for over 15 years, and it's won a Nobel Prize. Those types of things.
I think at one point, if I think it was back in, oh my gosh, I think it was, when did COVID hit? Was it 2020?
2020.
Okay, I think it was about 2021. I think Biden, I think it was at the beginning of the year or something. I think he was banning ivermectin. So people were going in, so my clients were calling me going down into Mexico getting ivermectin. And I'm telling you, like, a lot of them were. And this is true for those that are listening. This is no joke. And they were going down there to get it because at some point I think he banned it or something where you couldn't have access to it.
Well, they made it so that the doctors couldn't write prescriptions for it. It wasn't
Yes.
like banned technically, but it was banned. And yeah, everybody had to go out. Same thing with hydroxychloroquine, and ivermectin was a big one. And then there
Yeah.
was a few others. It was hard to get things like that.
So what they were doing, my clients and these are like nurse practitioners, these are doctors, some of them, they were sending prescriptions out to other people, and there were not prescriptions, I apologize, a protocol. There we go. Of where you can buy the horse dewormer ivermectin at a pet stuff online, and they were buying the paste and doing that. It was all over TikTok. And then they were sending me all, like, there were women that were contacting me that had cervical cancer. They tested positive for cervical cancer, and they're taking ivermectin to get rid of it. Stuff like this. That I don't know if that actually was proven to work. That I can't say that. Um, but they were looking for ways to try to fix some of their issues. But I do know the true story was about the dog that was saved. That I did hear, and people actually overcoming certain cancers, especially the colon cancers and stuff like that, through ivermectin. And this is true. So when I finally heard Mel Gibson say that, I was like, oh, finally, somebody's up there, you know, talking and admitting that it's true. And here we went through all this process of all the censorship over the years, that there could have been some lives that could have been saved. And it's such a shame. Um, because now we're moving into this new decades here going forward with this Pluto and Aquarius, and I'm thinking, okay, well, now what are we looking up against if they try to shut down TikTok? How are we going to find out information if they're censoring things in the media? There's certain people that watch the news anymore, but a lot of people are messaging me and reaching out and say they don't even watch the news anymore. If they want information, they start looking around on these platforms, social media. They start listening to podcasts or Joe Rogan, or like, you know, whatever, is their jam. They want to lean into TikTok. So I know that I've found out a lot of information on TikTok. It's been a wonderful tool. application just to find things out, especially when the Diddy stuff came out. I remember there's so much information coming out over there. And especially with COVID, a lot of people were running over there trying to see what everybody's talking about because we had nowhere to go. We didn't, who do you talk to if you're afraid to say anything, especially with all these, um, where everybody's so politically disdained about certain other groups, like, oh, if you're that, then I hate you. Or, oh, if you're that, I hate you. And I always encourage clients, hey, just try to stay neutral. Just, take it easy. I stayed neutral. I don't, I love everybody and I understand we all have our feelings about things and we have our opinions about things, but we have to kind of just, you know, stay a little, just idle a little bit, when we're in conversations because that's what they want. They want to divide us and it's working. Look, because you're getting upset, you're reacting and they're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right, April. Like, take it easy, just sit back and just watch and just kind of, you know, and sooner or later it's going to push us into this where we're coming together as a mass, as the masses and humanity coming together because Pluto is soon moving into Aquarius. Aquarius is about humanitarian work. Aquarius is about the masses and the people. We're for the people. Look what's going on in Los Angeles. Look at everybody getting together. And you don't see any road rage going on over there. You see people, hey, can I help you? Besides the goddamn looters that are being assholes and setting shit on fire. But other than that, you have regular tax-paying citizens. They're not asking who you voted for. They're saying, hey, can I help you? And that is what we're witnessing with this Pluto and Aquarius transit. And now soon to be Sun moving into Aquarius is how may I serve? How may I help you? How can we help the masses? And so we're going to have to find a way to group again and regroup and find other platforms to regroup and different applications. So be resourceful. And if you monetize on, certain applications and platforms, you have to think of other ways to reach your audience for business and things like that. But don't count on it. That's why I always, like for me, I have emails and stuff, so I can reach out to my clients if anything happens. If you're running on Google Maps, MapQuest, you need to have a Thomas Guide stuff somewhere just in case they shut the goddamn power grids off. Because if they get mad enough, they could shut down the internet. And that's what this Pluto Aquarius transit is all about. Like where we could see the darker side of technology where they shut things down. And I do believe, and I've brought this up and I predicted it, I'm going to back this up with my spirits. I see them messing with the power grids and I see them shutting things down where we'll be in complete darkness and including the internet. The internet could very likely shut down and we have to think of ways of how we get around that once it does shut down. What do you do? Increase in cyber attacks. Yes. What do you do? When the banks are down, what do? You need cash, you need tangible things, stuff like that. One of the things I found very interesting because I know that TikTok isn't it owned by China or has that changed?
I'm not currently certain of who owns TikTok right now.
Okay. I will say this, China, I feel like is top of my list when it comes to the trades where I feel like we might be seeing China seizing trades at some point. What I mean by that is like I know a lot of people get their products and stuff from China because it's cheaper, right? But I see this trades all of a sudden just seizing or slowing down because I feel like they may get upset over something because they want control over one of the channels. Something like this could come up. And I believe that we may be seeing these arguments and fights over the channels, disputes or wars over the channels where the waterways will be up for discussion of who has power over it. Therefore, that could disrupt the trades. But I think China will be the first to say, hey, we're not going to send our stuff over to you, to the United States, as a way to get back at somebody because they're fighting over the channels. from the United States to other countries. Panama Canal is something that I felt and talked about for some time. Suez Canal, there's some issues going over there. Um, but I say this because the North Node has moved into Pisces and it started January 11th. So that means all our waterways, all of them, including the fresh water that goes into the cities, including our ports and our harbors, all of them, we could be seeing some issues around our water. And so there will be some feelings around this as we slowly but surely start to see that our water is being affected. It could be contaminated or there's not enough water. We're seeing that already happening with the reservoirs being emptied. We're seeing that happening already with the Los Angeles fires, and there wasn't enough supposed water pressure is what they were saying. Okay. They weren't working. Meanwhile, all these people's houses, they're gone, disintegrated. Water. Okay, this is a Mars ruled year, so we're going to have battles and wars over things. We also have all that Plutonian air from Aquarius moving in, the winds picking up, fire. Mars is fire, but also with fire, what do you need? You need water. So we need to respect the water. There's spirits in the water, or oceans, lakes, and rivers. They could be contaminated, or we could be seeing problems happening around the water, or the water coming into the cities, or people dumping stuff into the water, or with the smoke. I was talking about this too. The smoke, what goes up must come down. So all the smoke and all the pollutants and all that stuff is going all the way into the soil and into the water. And then now they're saying that people can't shower or take baths and they got to boil their water just due to the contamination. So we're going to be seeing this due to that particular transit with the node moving into Pisces. This is just a feeling I have, and this is something I've been talking about for over a year and a half. I said we really have to look at our water like a prized value possession. If you got water, you're good. What do you do when there's no water? Arizona and California are going to be fighting over water. I was talking about that the other day. I saw Arizona in a dispute over some California water, but then California will say, hey, we don't have any water because there's something going on with like contamination. I felt like that was possibly coming forward into the future. I sure hope I'm wrong about this, but this is something Spirit was talking about, that Arizona might have a bad year for 2025. That's very possible, but again, I hope I'm wrong. But with this whole social media and what's going to be happening coming forward, be prepared for new applications coming out, other applications closing down, and a big rise in censorship and a war over what we're allowed or what we can and cannot say. We're going to see this energy picking up here. Now, with the new administration coming in, I have a feeling that we might see some things changing potentially, but not without a big pushback due to that Plutonian energy of control and forcing and forcing things so these politicians can push their views, whatever it is that they want, or whatever it is they don't want us to know, right? I had tried to post something today before I wrap this up. I post this funny video because I was talking about the smart cities for LA, because obviously we all know what's really going on, right? And I posted it, and then all of a sudden everything shut down and they blocked it. And I said smart cities. And it was funny actually, but it's not funny, but it's funny. And I kind of like to ride a fine line with the edge of just trying to get the truth out, because everybody knows it's no secret what they're trying to do. But yeah, they blocked it. And I couldn't even post it. I said, okay, here we go. This is this whole sun moving in Aquarius on January 19th, and the Pluto and Aquarius transit. We're here it goes. We'll start to see what happens. Now, Mark Zuckerberg is very not well received too much because of what he did. But now he's kind of coming out acting like, I'm sorry, or he's sort of like apologizing.
It was acting like he's
Um,
been backed into a corner, but in reality, we all know.
yeah, but it's kind of not hard to, it's how do you trust someone like that? So it's like, okay, is he really saying this, or is it because the new administration's coming in and now he feels a little more comfortable he can open up? I don't know. But I know for a fact these networks are shifting and changing. I do feel like YouTube's going to go in a different direction. It could actually be, it could get bigger. You know what I mean? That's possible. So for those of you that have an audience or have your own businesses and you're trying to find other ways to reach people, I encourage you to, um, be open to learning more things. And trying different applications to extend your radius in terms of your outreach to your audience. I did exactly what my spirits told me to do, and I'm still doing it. I'm still slightly growing in some areas, including with YouTube, with the membership, with certain recordings I'm doing. And then I'm slowly going to be opening up this platform with Spotify and these recordings so you guys can see me on YouTube as well for the Conspiracies podcast. That is what is in the works right now. So you guys can just click on YouTube and you can see me talking or something, and not just like hearing me over Spotify and that's it. So that's already in the works now. And then the membership, I just decided to do that for my spicier content. For the people that really can handle the things I say, I take some of that over to the membership so you guys can hear. And there are people that want to be there. You know what I mean? That's what's going on. But I do like the full moon, the new moon, and the monthly horoscopes for the cardinal signs, the mutable, and the fixed. I group them in threes. But that's pretty much what I'm doing. But because I was told to do that. And look what, like I said, that TikTok thing, they said, April, don't invest too much in TikTok. It's not that big of a deal. You need to hang out over there in YouTube and Instagram and just stick around over there until further notice. I said, okay. And then here we are with this thing with TikTok. But I know that there's going to be a big pushback. We might be seeing TikTok come back, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I do know that we got problems with China coming for sure. And it's a big issue with the trade and the channels and some disputes coming. But China was top on my list for sure about us having these issues. So because TikTok is connected or correlated to China, I don't know. Again, I don't know who owns it. I
TikTok
really
is owned
don't.
by China. It's new. It's like a company called. Let me look into it real quick.
Okay. And because of these issues that are on its way, that I know are on its way, we might see TikTok maybe come back if Elon Musk doesn't buy them up. I don't know. Or it may not come back because, we got these issues with China. But like
The
I said,
company is called ByteDance. BYTE Dance. Yeah, they're from China.
yeah. Uranus moving into Gemini, this is where I feel like we might be seeing some shit pop off. And I'm not even joking. This is going to be something huge here. I think the podcasts are really going to take off. Like I see Patreon, Spotify. I think those are going to get bigger because people, if they start messing with social media accounts, which I believe is on its way, and they're messing with the algorithms and pissing people off because they're trying to reach their audience and they can't because they don't have the fancy words, or they're not tagging things right, or they're not doing the hashtags right. I don't know. Um like for me, I mean, I could post one video on a reel and it's funny and I might get like, 150 likes or something like that. And then I'll post another one and all of a sudden it gets like, it just booms, it just blows up and I get like a gazillion views and I get like 2,000 to 5,000 to 17,000 likes or something out of nowhere. So you just never know. But the algorithm is what happens. It's like they allow certain people to see it. But what happened to me today is I was posting something about smart cities, and then I guess Instagram said, no, you can't. Sorry. I was like, God damn it. I thought Mark Zuckerberg was. I thought he was really apologizing and I could just post whatever I want, but I
You're gonna
guess
let things
not,
slide for a little bit.
that punk. But anyway, it is what it is. But my point is to this, dear friends that are listening, get ready for some interesting things when it comes to censorship, social media platforms. My best advice to you is always extend your radius to other types of platforms, from podcasts to reach your audience, to connect with friends. But also, look into YouTube. I feel like YouTube's going in a different direction too. I feel like there's going to be more expansion and growth there potentially, but don't count on these platforms to be your only outlet. Okay. Because keep in mind, they can just hit the button and it's over. That's it. No more. So always have backup emails, always have backup addresses. Keep a Thomas guide handy in case they turn the power off, which they more than likely will, just due to, I think I mentioned China and the pulse, right? They're going to hit, what is that thing called?
It's an EMP, electromagnetic pulse.
I'm telling you, China's going to get real interesting here coming up. So all we can do is just sit back and just see what happens. But we're going to be all right, because listen, if our ancestors can make it through like World War II and other wars and get through it and then live to tell their story, so can we. Okay, we're going to be fine. It's going to be a little uncomfortable, but that's what it's all about in order to grow. So we can do better for all of us, for each other. Okay. And that's this big movement with Pluto and Aquarius. So anyway, that's what I got for today. Thank you all for listening. If you wish to book a reading with me, you can come check me out. My services and availability at austriaastoundance.net, or you can come check me out on Instagram at austriaastoundance. Thank you so much for tuning in.